next theme, which we call Get to Know Me. So we're collecting data. We've got this common skills ontology. We're all speaking the same language now. We've got a lot of data. Now we need to decide what to do with the data. How do we unlock this data? Because there's so many tremendous things we can do with it. Yeah. But if we're not careful, we can also verge into the area of creepy. And so it's important that we think about, okay, how do we establish a bit of a quid pro quo relationship really based on trust? That if we're collecting information and mining information about people, that we're returning something of value back to people, whether that be opportunities or whatever it might be. We did some interesting research around the time of Davos and found that the difference between losing and earning trust had a 12.5% difference in revenues, about $3.1 trillion globally. So the impact is huge to gain this trust from people. And I know this is a big deal, how you think about data and how you think about trust, but share a little bit of your thoughts.
Well, first I would say I think that there's just an incredible opportunity to use these intelligent technologies to actually create a much more human experience by use the word personalization. I love it.
Yeah.
And we do too. One of the big investments we've been making at Workday is in what we call the people experience.
Yes.
How do we create an experience that is, contextual, it's relevant, it's just for me.
Yes.
Right? So yes, it's software and it's made for your entire organization, but my experience is just my experience for Leanne. It knows what I need when I need it, right?
Yep.
It anticipates things, makes recommendations, helps me find things, reduces friction.
Valuable for you.
We've been investing in using these powerful technologies to create a really, I would say, much more delightful and easy experience for me at work. And as part of that people experience, it's not just about, let me go find this document. I'd like to make that a lot easier in companies, trust me.
Yes.
We are getting after that. But in addition to it, I love the phrase you all have been using for years called the moments that matter.
Yes.
And that is also in the technology vision. I was happy to see it there again. Love it. We also use that phrase. And the moments that matter for us have really helped us define how we architect for journeys, right? Because, a moment that matter might be the first time you join a company, the onboarding experience. You got to get that right. As a company, you got to get that right. And now how can you use these intelligent technologies to facilitate that and make that much more engaging, much more efficient, remove all that friction, and just make that amazing first impression for people. And so we think that there's power in using data to make it more personalized, but also much more delightful and much more human of a work experience.
Yes.
And so that's good. And then you asked the question about trust, which is, trust is in the fabric of everything that we do, right? Trust and security. And I know we're going to talk about that. We think it's important, given the profound impact that machine learning and data have on society and work. We think it's important to take a leadership stance on this. And we think it's important to communicate out what we believe, our ethical framework, our true north, if you will. And so last year we published, and I know you know this, but our privacy principles. And our privacy principles really say we're going to innovate responsibly. We're going to put privacy first. And we're going to design and all of our practices, technology and as well as our business practices, to safeguard for fairness and trust. And there's a lot that comes up underneath those. That's our commitment to our customers.
And I think those were so great when they came out because they were simple to understand. Anybody can read them, understand what it's going to mean for them as people, them and their organizations. And you talked before around these idea of moments that matter. And I think the biggest shift that now the technology and journeys allows us to do is to get away from sort of linear process thinking. That's not how business works, and that's not how us as employees care. We don't care if you're going out on leave, whether that's in finance or payroll or HR or in operations or wherever it sits. You want to be able to go out on leave, make sure you're handing things off, and then return back in a seamless, easy way. And we actually talk about some of that in the Tech Vision as well, and sort of this momentary markets we call My Markets. Is how do you take these moments and just do something really sort of special with them? And there's not a ton of them, but the ones that are out there, they really do matter. And it's important to get those right. And I think it's changed how we work with our clients. We used to be so linear in the process thinking. And now we're able to pull everybody together to say, let's orchestrate something really, really special across these groups.
And if you know a lot about the person, you can make it hyper personalized or contextual to them. So for example, if you know my location, if you know what my interests are, if you know that I have other children, if you know if I've been out on leave before, think about how that can change the overall experience, the way I message to you, the way, if you're a first time mom, I mean, that first time I went out and I was having a baby, way different than the second time. Yeah. Let me just be clear about that. And so the more we know, and not personal information, but the more we know about someone, the better we can create that journey.